It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Very happy Tuesday to everybody out there. Big show still coming up. We are going to talk some NBA basketball with Yaron Weitzman. He's got a book out about the Lakers, but we'll talk big picture NBA, including what is going on with Los Angeles, and is this the final 25 games of LeBron and Luka together with the Lakers? And then Cole Bagley will join us coming up at 11:30, giving us a breakdown on what we've seen so far in the Olympics and what to expect with Clayton Keller and the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. But let's get to the top 3 stories at KSL Sports. It's all brought to you by our friends at J. Brooks Jewelers. You heard John this morning with DJ and PK. It's the perfect time for the holidays for Valentine's Day. Go check out J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your loved ones with J. Brooks Jewelers. You can go find them online, jbrooksjewelers.com. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. Where are we, number 1, Christian?
Number 1, BYU Basketball riding a 4-game losing streak, trying to snap it tonight at Baylor.
I wouldn't even say low-key big game. This is just a huge game for BYU. They need to start finding ways to snap out of this skid they're in. And I don't think the skid is quite as dramatic as it may seem. Yes, 4 losses is not fun. That's not what they were expecting to be running into. I think at any point, 5 out of 6 is not up to par for the talent that they have on the roster. And I think the quality of coach Kevin Young is. I think he's a very high-level coach. But that is the truth of the Big 12. You know, you lose to Texas Tech, you lose to Arizona, you lose to Kansas, you lose to Houston. I think all of those make sense. It's when you drop a game to Oklahoma State in the middle that you didn't get a chance to stop the bleeding, and now it feels like, you know, the sky is falling. And that's certainly not what's happening. But you do need to stop the bleeding at some point, and you can't just wait until, Colorado's coming into Marriott Center in the next game. I guess we just have to get back home and win there. No, you got to get a good win. You got to get a victory that kind of changes the trajectory of the season and reinvigorates the roster and puts some confidence into the team that they can win difficult games. Baylor is not a top 15 team. They're not even a ranked team right now, but a good mid-level Big 12 team on the road is a difficult opponent, and getting a win should be a big confidence booster if BYU can do it.
This schedule is so tough for BYU. I mean, you look at 3 of those 4 games that they've lost, or 3 of their last 5 losses have been Arizona, Kansas, Houston, teams that are understandable losses, and you don't blame them at all. It's just unfortunate they come so close together. Oklahoma State is a bad loss, but like you're saying, you're not ready to hit the big red button, the panic button. But if you do lose to Baylor, that's when you start to say, okay, what the heck is going on? Because Oklahoma State and Baylor in, basically a calendar week, those are 2 losses the Cougs shouldn't be taking, regardless of what else is going on. Then you add in all those other losses, and it's like, all right, things could hit the fan pretty quickly.
And the human nature of it is you start to look down the schedule and you say, oh, if you lose to Baylor, yeah, you get Colorado at home, but then it's Arizona on the road after that. And then it's Iowa State after that, and then it's a couple of down games, Central Florida, West Virginia, Cincinnati. Again, there's not really a down game in the Big 12. And then you close up with Texas Tech. You can't start looking at it that way. You can't start looking at the rest of the season. You just got to take it game by game, as cliche as that is, and that's why you've got to beat Baylor. And again, you lose to Houston by 11. It was close. BYU wasn't right there, but it was pretty close throughout the game. Oklahoma State, a bad loss, still right there. Kansas, 90-82. BYU was right there. Arizona, 86-83. BYU is definitely right there. It's like they're close. And when you have that much talent and you have a good coach, you need to break through. And we'll see if they can do it tonight. They're taking on Baylor on the road, ESPN2, 5 p.m. Big game. Certainly going to be a lot of eyeballs on this one. Number 2.
In case you missed it, the Jazz pick up a win in Miami last night.
We talked a lot about the impact on the standings and the Jazz looking at the lottery, because that is going to become more pressing the deeper we get into the season. What we did not talk about, again, is how good Jaren Jackson Jr. has been, as you've been calling him Trip, short for Triple J, early in his run with the Jazz. Last night, another 22-point outing, another 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 2 steals. He was 7 of 19 from the floor, so not even a particularly good shooting night. 2 of 7 from 3, not particularly good. 6 of 7 from the free throw line. It is still interesting to watch how quickly he stepped on the floor. And I'm not going to say this is for sure what the roster is going to look like or the hierarchy, but he's just so clearly right now the best player on the Jazz. immediately he comes in and knows how to do things defensively that nobody else on the roster knows how to do. And you can hear him talking and pointing guys around and telling Lauri Markkanen, like, hey, I think you're in the wrong spot. I think you need to move over and guard this guy. It's so quickly changed everything the Jazz are doing on both ends of the floor. And then how much, he does things on the offensive side that the team has lacked as far as his, ease in scoring isolation buckets. He goes right up against Bam Adebayo, who is one of the 10 best defensive players in the NBA, one of the 20 best players in the NBA, and he just makes him look small. I mean, he just pushes him out of the way and gets to his 10-foot push shot, and it goes in, and you think, oh, well, that's a type of ease that the Jazz just have not seen in a very long time.
Which, number one, is good because it feels really nice to see an immediate return on your investments, right? It would feel a little weird to make that big trade, and then even though it's only been 2 games, it would feel really weird to just sit here and be like, okay, what did we trade for? And I think immediately right? But this brings me back to a conversation you and Jake had last week where talking about the situation in Memphis and like now coming to Utah, a stable organization with a good coach and no drama on the roster. Could there even be another level to his game that we haven't seen? Because he is a grown-up and he is a mature person and he knows what this is about. And his dad played in the NBA and his mom is having a very successful career with the WNBA and he has his head on straight on his shoulders, right? So being in this environment in Utah, I do really wonder now with a stable organization, like what his ceiling could really be.
Outside of a couple of seasons, and let me go back and look at these early. Let me see if I can pull this up quickly. His early career in Memphis, he gets drafted in 2018. Let me look at these rosters. Who else is on this team? Because, again, they had been bad because they got the number 4 overall pick, which is where he was selected. Mike Conley was on the team, and it was still Mike Conley's team, but it was kind of expected that he was going to step up and kind of take over, but obviously he wasn't ready to do it year 1 or 2. They go a couple of seasons with that kind of being the game plan. They've got some other good veterans on the team at that point, including, Kyle Anderson when he was kind of beginning to enter his prime. Marc Gasol's on that roster and is very good. So it's not like Jaren's team, but the expectation is one day it will become Jaren's team. And he waits and he waits and he waits, and then all of a sudden John Morant kind of gets dropped like a bomb into the middle of the roster and is so explosive.
Was that intentional?
No, it wasn't. But kind of. And he is so overpowering. He's such a dominant force, both on the floor and off the floor, right? He's the most exciting player on the court in the NBA for probably 24 months. And then he's such a distraction off of it. Good or bad. His dad is around the program all the time. Ja is having his issues with guns and clubs and Instagram and whatever he can find himself getting in trouble with. And it never really becomes Jaren's team. And it's not really designed to be Jaren's team. In fact, Jaren's role ends up being, how do I create space for Ja, who's a non-shooter, whose entire game is about getting to the rim? It's a little bit like building a roster around Isaiah Collier, if Isaiah Collier was on steroids. Ja's a better player than Isaiah, but it's a very specialty roster. It's a very specialized roster to build around a guy who has those pronounced weaknesses that Ja has. So Jaren kind of falls into a very high-level supporting role, but a supporting role nonetheless. He has come in now to Utah and through 2 games has been the best player on the floor. And Lowry was very good against Orlando. He had 27 points, don't get me wrong. But Jaren certainly seems like the force around which everything is rotating. He seems like the planet and everything else is gravity around him. I am now curious if that's going to be the plan going forward, and what does that do for him? What does that unlock for him? What if now Lauri Markkanen is a complementary player for Jaren? What if Keontae is a complementary for Jaren? Which with itself comes more questions. What does that do for Keontae? What does that do for Lauri? Is Lauri worth $40 million or $45 million if he's just a floor spacer next to Jaren? The answer is probably yes. But maybe it's not. And if it's not, then what do you do? And those are questions down the line. But going back to your point and what Jake and I talked about last week, what if now not only is he revitalized emotionally as a 26-year-old going to a new location with a roster and a community and a franchise that's going to fall in love with him, what if they actually put pieces around him designed to complement what he does?
Yeah, it's a big three. There are some nights where he is going to be the focal point of the Jazz's offensive attack. There are going to be nights where Key is hot, so you let him take, 20, 25 shots. There are going to be other nights where Lowry's hot, and you feed him the ball and do what he's got to do. So that's the nice piece about, having all this talent, and ideally this is going to be quite the offensive juggernaut for Will Hardy.
And one of the interesting things when you're building a basketball team that's very difficult and where it's different than football, different than baseball, et cetera, is that you have to find guys that fill their right position on the team. And I don't mean guard, forward, center. I mean, are you the best player on the team? And then are you the second best player on the team? And are you the third? And the hard part about drafting guys to find those spots is, do you know how long it's going to take for Ace to actually become a better player than Lauri Markkanen? Like, it's going to take 3 years at minimum. And whoever the Jazz draft this year, assuming they hold on to their pick, it's going to take 3 years at minimum. Okay, Lowry's contract is up by that point. You're actually not giving yourself a window for that to come to fruition. When you trade for a player, he steps in immediately, ready to go as a proven veteran, and he says, okay, now I'm the best player on the floor, and Lowry gets bumped down to what has probably always been his rightful spot, which is the second or third best player on a good team. He's probably not the number one player on a good team. And now Keontae doesn't have to be the second best player. He can be the third best player. Fitting those pieces in the right order unlocks everything because now, as you're saying, sometimes it's my night. But Lowry used to have to do it 50 nights a year. What if he only has to do it 30? And what if Keontae, instead of having to do it 30, only has to do it 15? And then Ace Baylor only has to do it 5. And once those pieces all start to fit in, if Jaren can be that player, that's when you start winning a lot of games. So that's what I'm watching for the Utah Jazz. They are back in action tomorrow against a very lousy Sacramento Kings team who has lost a franchise record 13 straight games. What's next?
Number 3, Team USA Hockey. The men's team was practicing yesterday. It sounds like Clayton Keller might be on the outside of the rotation through the first couple practices. Our very own Sam Farnsworth doing the dirty work in Milan. He got the opportunity to speak to Clayton Keller.
How's the jet lag, I guess? Is the adjustment a tough process? Or?
I think the first day is honestly pretty easy because you sleep a little bit on the flight, and then you're kind of so amped up to be here, and went through the whole experience. So I'm sure after this I'll be in bed pretty early tonight. Yeah.
And then how does it feel to get out there, on the ice with these guys finally? I know it's just the first of kind of building that cohesion, but to just get out there, have the USA on your chest.
Yeah, it's a super special feeling. I have so many things to be thankful for, to people that have sacrificed to get me here today. So it's a surreal feeling, and something that I don't take for granted.
What are some of the challenges of building that cohesion and chemistry in such a short amount of time to put together into a tournament? Yeah,
I think we're a really close group of guys. Like a lot of these guys I played with at the Worlds 6-7 years ago, and guys that obviously you play against in the league, and it's great to see them and share stories from back in the day, and it just feels like we're super close already from day one.
Elliot Friedman, who is kind of the big NHL, he's kind of the Shefty of the NHL, or the Sham Sharania of the NHL, did have a breakdown of what he had seen so far at USA practice, and there's depth charts, and it looked like Clayton Keller was, at this point, the odd man out. A lot of injuries, rosters aren't working, or some of these lines aren't working particularly well. Wouldn't be surprised to see Keller make a jump into that rotation. We will talk to Cole Bagley about that coming up here at 11:30 and what he expects to see from Team USA, plus what he's seen from the women already who've played a couple of games and have been dominant so far. Stick around. More Jake and Ben coming up next.